This is my first video update coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. On this Wednesday, let's talk about some news. And the first big piece of news was the decree signed by Russian President Vladimir Putin, which bans the sale and supply of oil and oil products to countries that have placed an oil price cap on Russian oil, seaborne Russian oil to be more precise. And so with this decree that Vladimir Putin signed yesterday, it goes into effect, by the way, on February 1st, and it lasts until July 1st, 2023. With this decree, we are going to be seeing production cuts, most likely in Russia, oil production cuts in Russia, oil shortages, and add into the mix China coming out of an extended zero COOF policy, coming back into the market in a big way and very hungry for oil and all kinds of commodities. So what we are going to see is a price increase in oil come 2023. The region, the countries that are going to suffer the most from this, well, the European Union, of course, they are going to really get slammed from this retaliatory decree signed by the Russian president. This is the first decree that he has signed with regards to these price caps. Remember, we also have a gas price cap that Russia is going to respond to as well. And so the United States, Canada, various other G7 countries, they'll probably be okay to a certain extent, even though the price of oil will go up. But it is going to be the EU that is going to suffer the most. And if EU countries believe that the United States will come to their rescue, they're very mistaken, because the Biden White House, what they need to do now is, instead of trying to bail out EU member states by getting oil to Europe, they need to be focused on refilling their strategic petroleum reserves. So the U.S. isn't going to really have much oil to spare to get to Europe to try to help them out with the oil shortages that are coming. Remember, Biden really tapped into the SPR in a big way. He brought the reserves to a dangerously low position. And the U.S. government now, they have to refill those petroleum reserves. So if EU member states think that the U.S. is going to be able to help them out come 2023 with oil shortages, they're in for a very rude awakening. So that is the big story from yesterday. Not a shocker. No big surprise. We all expected it. But come February 1st, it comes into effect. So what else do we have? We have, we had Dmitry Medvedev's 2023 predictions that he posted on Twitter and Telegram. The collective West mainstream media, they are branding these predictions as the absurd predictions of a Kremlin madman, is pretty much how they're branding these predictions. I think there were 10 2023 predictions. Some of them were pretty out there, but some of them are not so far off, to be quite honest. I mean, if you read through some of the predictions, you know, they're not so crazy. He talks about, say, the USD, the dollar reserve, coming undone. He talks about the euro vanishing. He talks about Poland and Hungary entering Ukraine. You know, these are, I don't know if these things are going to come true in 2023, For example, the reserve currency or the EU or the euro vanishing or breaking up, but these are predictions that could very well come true in the next 5 to 10 years, as far as Poland entering Ukraine or Hungary entering Ukraine, which is one of the predictions he makes. That's a possibility. Actually, Poland entering Ukraine is something a lot of people are talking about. A lot of analysts are talking about. There was an article today actually not today, the 24th, before Christmas. There was an article, a kind of op-ed in the Turkish newspaper, Cumhuriyet, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but a big Turkish newspaper, and the analyst was talking about Zelensky's meeting in the United States with Bidenopolis, and then he came back and met with Duda, the president of Ukraine, Andrzej Duda, and Zelensky said that yes, Ukraine is going to get financial support, yes, they're going to get the Patriots, but they also have other things to announce as well. Other agreements were made, and that's what the Turkish journalist kind of grabbed onto, the fact that Zelensky said other agreements were also decided during these meetings. And he said that while it's, at the moment, it may seem unlikely, and it's a very dangerous and reckless move, perhaps one of the things that was discussed was Poland's enthusiasm to widen out the war, and how the Biden White House may actually seize upon this enthusiasm from Poland to enter the conflict in Ukraine. The journalist, he said that this is something that Russia is well aware of. He said that this is probably unlikely, but it's a scenario. Now, there are a lot of tweets being sent out with regards to this story from the Turkish newspaper, saying that Poland has agreed to enter the war, or Zelensky made some secret deals. I didn't get that from the Turkish article. I put it in Google Translate and I read it through, and I didn't get the feeling that this reporter was talking about some sort of secret agreement or Poland definitely entering the conflict. But what I did get from this article is that perhaps there was, let me go this way, perhaps there was some sort of discussion as to how to keep the war going, and what role Poland could play in extending and perhaps widening out the war. So anyway, I'll put a link to the Cumhuriyet article. It's an interesting read. It's an interesting analysis. I'm not saying it's true, but I think it's a pretty solid analysis from this Turkish journalist. Either way, Dmitry Medvedev's prediction of Poland entering the war could come true. So, look, Medvedev, when he puts out tweets or Telegram posts, he likes to troll. He likes to poke fun at the collective West. But I also think he's kind of holding up a mirror to the collective West to point out their narrative insanity. And he kind of is saying, you know what? If Russian officials and Russian media acted as insane as you guys act and put out crazy narratives like the ones you guys put out, this is what they would look like. These are the kind of headlines you would get from Russian officials and from Russian media if we were as detached from reality as you guys. So he likes to troll, but he also likes to hold up a mirror to the collective West and kind of expose the absurdity of some of their news reporting and some of the narratives that they put out there. Anyway, I'll put a link to a Zero Hedge article which has Medvedev's 10 predictions. Elon Musk replied to those 10 predictions, and he said it's an epic thread as well. And Elon Musk was kind of having fun with those predictions. One of the predictions was Elon Musk becoming president of the United States after some sort of civil war, which really can't happen because Elon Musk was not born in the United States. But, once again, Medvedev is pointing out in an absurd way, he's highlighting the fact that the U.S. is very much a divided country. And there has been talks over the past couple of years about, is there going to be a civil war in the U.S.? What kind of civil war? Is the U.S. already in an ideological civil war? And, there has been talks about this stuff over the past, say, 3-4 years. So I think Medvedev is just kind of, in a ridiculous way, he's kind of highlighting that. And of course, Elon Musk now is, that's all anyone talks about is Elon Musk. He's like the focus of the news cycle 24/7. So why not throw Elon Musk as president into one of your predictions? Angela Merkel. Well, she gave an interview, and let me pull it up here. I'm trying to think what was the newspaper? I wanted to say Italian or Spanish media, but I am not quite sure. So give me 1 second here to make sure I get this one right, because Angela Merkel is doubling down on her "we screwed Russia during Minsk 1 and Minsk 2. We deliberately conned and screwed Russia during Minsk 1 and Minsk 2 in order to rearm Ukraine so that Ukraine could be in a better position for war with Russia." She's actually doubling down on that admission. Former German Chancellor Angela Merkel has once again confirmed that the 2014-15 Ukraine peace deal she helped arrange was meant to allow Kiev to build more powerful armed forces. The Minsk Accords, brokered by Germany, France, and Russia, were meant to stop the fighting in Donbass and create a path for the rebellious region's peaceful reintegration into Ukraine. Kiev promised to enact constitutional reform that would grant autonomy to Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republic. The deal, however, was never implemented, as Ukraine argued over the interpretation of the agreement. The 2014 Minsk agreement represented an attempt to give Ukraine time, Merkel told Italian magazine Sette on Tuesday. Ukraine has used this time to become stronger, and we see today the country of 2014 and 15 was not the same as it is today, and I doubt that NATO could have done much to help Ukraine as it does right now. So she's doubling down. She's not walking back her statement that she made a week or two ago about brokering Minsk 1 and how it was all a big deception in order to rearm Ukraine. She's doubling down on that claim. She's comfortable with it. She's fine with it. There you have it. So, if you needed even more evidence that the entire negotiation for peace in Ukraine in 2014 and 15 was just one big dupe, one big con job, well, you have Merkel on record twice now admitting as much. You have Petro Poroshenko also admitting that they were never going to implement Minsk, and it was only agreed to as a way to prevent the annihilation of the Ukrainian army and as a way to buy time for Ukraine. So you have all of these admissions that the Minsk deal was nothing more than one big lie. And you have Merkel saying it twice now. So that is Angela Merkel's latest admission to Italian media. And what else should we talk about before we get to a clown world? Lavrov talked about, during his interview that he gave the other day, he warned the United States, the Pentagon, to think twice about any type of first strike against Russia or any kind of Putin decapitation strike. Lavrov noted that some unnamed officials from the Pentagon actually threatened to conduct a decapitation strike on the Kremlin. What we are talking about is the threat of the physical elimination of the head of the Russian state, Lavrov said. The top diplomat went on to warn against such a line of thinking. If such ideas are actually being nourished by someone, this someone should think very carefully about the possible consequences of such plans. Lavrov was apparently referring to a September article by Newsweek, which alleged that the U.S. defense officials are considering a number of options to respond against the potential Russian nuclear strike, including a decapitation strike to kill Putin in the heart of the Kremlin. That was an interesting statement from Lavrov. You also have this admission, this statement from a mercenary, a Mozart group mercenary. Now, Mozart is the answer to the Wagner group. This is the collective West answer to the Wagner mercenaries. They call themselves the Mozart mercenaries. And this guy is on record now saying that Ukraine is pretty effed up. That's pretty much what he said in an interview, like a podcast interview. This guy's name is Milborn, this mercenary. Andrew Milborn, the founder of the Mozart Group, which has been providing training for Kiev's forces. So this guy did a podcast and he pretty much said that Ukraine commits all kinds of war crimes. They shoot Russian soldiers who have surrendered. And he said pretty much that Ukraine is run by a bunch of effed up people. His words: Ukraine is run by effed up people. So yeah, you have that video, that podcast video going viral. Now this Milborn guy said that the Mozart group, they did not agree with any of these tactics that Ukraine was using. They actually found them disgusting, illegal. He was like, this is completely messed up. So he is on record saying that his forces, his contracted soldiers did not agree with what the Ukraine military was doing, but he said these guys are crazy. So you have that story as well. Let's wrap this up with a clown world now, and this will be a quick clown world, and it is courtesy of Annalena Baerbock. And I guess we're coming full circle back to the sanctions and the Russian oil decree, because Annalena Baerbock, in an interview that she gave on Romanian TV channel Digi24, she said, and Annalena is the foreign minister, the Green Party foreign minister and de facto ruler of Germany, she told Digi24 that, and I quote, "We must be clear that there can be no normal relations with Russia. We will gradually tighten sanctions against it." They're going to tighten sanctions against Russia. Keep on tightening, Annalena. Keep on tightening until Germany is completely deindustrialized. Oh boy, there really is no reverse gear. I mean, really, they're going to place sanctions on Russia until there is no more Germany left. That's pretty much the strategy. Man, Annalena, she's a masochist. I mean, dang, I am telling you. Wow. They have no more sanctions to place on Russia. We've actually had EU commissioners come out and say that they have no more sanctions left to place on Russia. That's why you have guys like Michel fumbling around to figure out ways to punish Russia by trying to remove them from the Security Council. And nonsense like that, for which Maria Zakharova, the Kremlin spokeswoman, said, "This is ridiculous, just babble from the EU to try and remove Russia from the Security Council. But the EU, they understand that they've already pulled the trigger on the nuclear options. They removed Russia from SWIFT. They put an oil price cap. They put a gas price cap. There's nothing left to do. They seized assets, the Russian assets. There's no more left. There's nothing left. And now what we're going to have is Russia's retaliation. And we got a good taste of that yesterday with the decree banning the sale of Russian oil to countries that play along with this price cap. So the ball is now in Russia's court. Everything that the EU could have done, they did, including pulling the trigger on the nuclear options. And now it's Russia's turn to start tightening the noose, or as Annalena says, tightening the sanctions against it. Gradually tightening the sanctions against Russia. I think it's actually going to be Russia gradually tightening the economic devastation against the European Union, but we'll see. We'll see. She's insane, man. She is absolutely insane. Anyway, that is the video, guys. The Duran.locals.com. Look for us on Rockfin as well. Duran Shop, 10% off. Use the code. Good day. And also find us on Telegram, Rumble, BitChute, ODYSEE. And that's it. Take care.